Hello and welcome to another product briefing by Legal Tech Hub. Today we're seeing Nancy Zheng of Billables. We're going to their application Billable. Nancy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the company?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nancy. I, along with my co-founder Arvin, built this company, Billables AI, as a result of some very real personal pain as it relates to billable timekeeping. So I actually used to be a timekeeper myself in the professional service space. I worked as an executive at ad agencies for the first decade of my career, and my old company would actually turn off the internet for those who didn't submit their time each week. And my co-founder Arvin, his wife, is actually a partner at a law firm, and she is a self-proclaimed horrible biller and came to us with this problem. And we realized that it's especially prevalent for senior partners, people who are super busy. It's often these ones that are the most busy with the highest rates that kind of have the least amount of time to bill. And that problem just got incepted into our brains, and Arvin and I came together and talked to a bunch of firms and really validated that this is a universal need. People hate billing, and we had this really unique culmination of kind of skill sets to solve this problem. And so we came together and started building this product, and the rest is, as they say, history.
Great. So before we dive into the demo, then you have known each other for a long time, right?
Yes, we have actually known each other since undergrad. 20 years ago is where we met. And we went to the University of Texas at Austin, and we're in completely different majors, and both ended up actually back out in San Francisco after graduating on different career paths. I mentioned that I spent a decade in advertising agencies. After that, I actually went into the tech side, and I led the small business community content marketing team at Google, and then spent almost 7 years at Pinterest leading their first monetization products and their global consumer and creator product marketing team. And then Arvin had a separate path where he ended up coming out here, went to Stanford to get his PhD in all of this subject matter, right? So he literally, we call him Dr. AI as a joke internally because he is the foremost kind of expert in this area. And he actually founded a startup in the AI space in consumer fintech, and then was early stage at another AI enterprise platform before we came together and brought our skills to Billables AI.
Let's dive into the demo. Why don't you share it with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will go ahead and share our product. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So what you're seeing here, this is our dashboard, and this is the heart and soul of our platform. And everything that you're seeing here, these are all time entries that are entirely generated by Billables AI. And so the magic of what's happening is you don't actually have to come to our site. You don't have to start or stop a timer. You're just working wherever you normally do your work. You're sending emails in Outlook, you are in a Word doc kind of editing a document, you are joining a Zoom call from wherever you are. And in the background, we're capturing that activity and generating your time entries for you so that when you're ready to reconcile your billing, you can come in at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and all of this is already populated for you. So I want to double click on what's happening and how we get to this point. So I'll just double click into a couple of these time entries so you can see what's happening behind the scenes. So you can see here that we have these entries that are coming from various sources, and we actually show you an explanation of the activity that led to that time entry. So in this case, there were emails sent between this user and her client back and forth, and we link you to the email too so you can refresh your memory and remember what you were corresponding about. We generate a narrative description that you see here, and then we automatically assign it to a client and matter and generate a narrative description. So we have the duration, we have the client and matter assigned, and the detailed narrative description, which follows industry best practices in terms of billing standards. So using active verbs, naming conventions, the level of detail that's often needed because we know clients are scrutinizing these bills. And so all of this is presented to you, and in the best case scenario, you can quickly approve these time entries and it basically makes it ready to go for billing. In the case that you want to edit anything, maybe you want to change the narrative, or we may have gotten the client wrong initially. You can reassign the client, you can reassign the matter, you can change the narrative. So maybe you want it to be present tense instead of past tense, or you want to change some of the naming convention or obfuscate the names. You can make those edits and save those changes, and the system starts to adapt to your preferences. So we say that it actually gets better the more that you use it. It gets better at client matter matching. It starts to find patterns in the work that you're doing and which client and matter it's most related to. It really starts to identify the nuances of how you write your narrative descriptions. And that happens on a client level, not just a user level. So it starts to associate, okay, for this client, there's a lot of detail that's normally involved, or it uses this language. And it really becomes like your personal billing assistant. And that's one of the things that we've gotten really great feedback from our current customers about, is it really feels like it adapts to them. It feels like it's a tool that was made for them, that fits them like a glove. And so that's really one of the most powerful applications of AI that we're really excited to see manifest in our product.
Great.
I'll pause there and see if there's any initial questions.
And so what if I'm an attorney and I'm traveling?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And actually, I may take a step back from that and share a little bit with you about the methodology of how we get this activity and what that means in terms of the value back to you as someone who may be working on the go. I alluded to this, but you can see from these entries that are generated that these are coming through sources of integrations. So our platform uses API integrations to allow us to capture time. So what we don't do is we don't have a heavy piece of software that sits on your computer and screen grabs every few seconds. What we've done instead is we've built direct integrations with your different workflow software. So you can see here some of the different integrations that we support with Outlook, Teams, Word, PowerPoint, really all the common tools that lawyers are using. And through these API integrations, we are able to capture activity in a privacy-friendly way. So again, we're not screen capturing, we're not screen grabbing everything that you're doing on your computer. We're getting data directly from the source, from Microsoft, from Zoom, from Adobe, which makes it really accurate, right? We're getting the timestamps, some of the metadata, even in terms of the folder that email was filed into. Maybe that's named after a client. That allows us to get really precise with the client matter matching. And then the most compelling reason for this approach gets back to what you were asking about. And that is, this allows us to be device agnostic. So if you are traveling, which is quite common, right? Or if you're simply working somewhere that's not at your desk and in front of your computer or laptop, we're able to capture that activity. So if you're sending email from your phone, if you're joining a Zoom call from your tablet, if you're traveling, you're not at your desk, since all of that is going through your Outlook account or your Zoom account and we're integrated directly with those, we're able to capture all that activity. And for a lot of folks, that is time that typically is not able to be captured. That's time that they've been underbilling in the past. So you can see here emails coming from any device, calendar events. If you're joining a Zoom call from your tablet or from your phone, that's all captured. Integrations with Word, with Adobe, with Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge to capture your browser activity, your calendar, the full suite of things that you're doing. But really, that is a huge differentiator for us in terms of our methodology. We've painstakingly built these integrations one by one to get that level of precision and that flexibility to capture work wherever it may be happening.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's super helpful. One question before we wrap up. Do you have any data on additional time captured as a result of attorneys using Billable?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've heard from our customers is they are finding 10 to 30% more billable time captured. Now, obviously, there's variation depending on how good you were at capturing time before, but that's been pretty standard across the board. And I think the reason for that is because of these integrations. It's very holistic. It is very comprehensive. We're getting every email. We're not missing anything really, and people can rest easy knowing that it's getting captured. And additionally, they're spending far less time on things like drafting narratives, which can take a lot of time if you're trying to do it from scratch. So we're generating that. And with the narrative writing in particular, people have spent 90% less time having to do that. They're just doing quick checks, maybe revising something here or there. But again, it learns from you. And so that's something that doesn't have to happen perpetually. It gets better as they use it. And then once people review their time and approve everything that they want to bill, it is only those approved time entries that get billed. So there is this like privacy aspect that we're really mindful of. We want to make sure that we're protecting the user data, that nothing ever goes out the door without a lawyer's eyes on it or a biller's eyes on it. And so everything is really gated around that approval. And we try to make it as quick and easy as possible to approve those entries and to make it that final state of your final billing report. But it's really important that we kind of work with the lawyer in that instance.
From my memory goes way back, but this must save, you mentioned 90% of time doing the actual time tracking. This must save half an hour to an hour per day.
Yeah, easily, especially if you're counting out up that time that they would have been contemporaneously trying to bill little micro moments throughout the day. It's easily saving 30 minutes to an hour a day. I think across the month, we see about 8 to 10 hours saved where they can just really zoom through their time entries. And we also have different settings that allow that to get even more efficient. So you can determine how you want your narratives to start. You can determine what types of time entries you want to include in your dashboard. So all of that really aims to chip away at the amount of time that you're spending on these operational tasks. And even saving 30 minutes for the average attorney who's billing several $100s an hour, that becomes something that easily pays for the tool quickly, and you get exponentially greater returns from using the product.
And be able to go home at a reasonable time of day.
Exactly. And for those who were like me formerly, you don't get your internet turned off, you don't get your bonus withheld. There's all sorts of scare tactics to get people to do their time. And hopefully we can eliminate all of that and make this as painless as possible.
Mostly carrot, no stick. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was super helpful. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you all for joining us in another Legal Tech Hub product briefing. Check out Billables profile on the directory. The link to their profile will be in the product briefing. Thank you so much, and until the next one.
Thank you.